Porsche is a brand that was built on performance, and they know performance better than any other manufacturer. However, it wasn't until the last 15 years that they started expanding their lineup and really started understanding the luxury car buyer. First, Porsche introduced the Boxster about 15 years ago to kind of get younger and more affordable buyers into the brand. Then they introduced the Cayenne to get families into the brand, a four-door SUV that could perform like a Porsche. And then they introduced the Porsche Panamera, a four-door sedan that really handles like a 911 but has room for four. The Panamera received a fair amount of criticism when it was introduced. A lot of people thought that Porsche wasn't being true to the brand. However, this vehicle has been wildly successful, been selling off dealer lots like crazy, and no wonder. It's around 4,000 pounds depending on which model you get. It's got tremendous engine options, and it's a Porsche, and it drives like one too. Take a look at this beauty. Isn't this one of the most amazing engines you've ever seen? It's refreshing that in 2012 we can still open the hood and actually see engine components. Thank you, Porsche. Seriously, thank you. So what we have here is the base engine of the Panamera, a 3.6-liter V6 that produces 300 horsepower. But if you need more horsepower, Porsche's got some great options for you. At a 0 to 60 time of about 5.8 seconds for this Panamera 4 or all-wheel drive, this is actually one of the slower Panameras. So the next step up from this would actually be the hybrid, which produces 380 horsepower. Next you have the S at 400 horsepower, the GTS at 430 horsepower, and the Turbo 500 horsepower with an optional package to take the Turbo S 0 to 60 3.6 seconds. That's moving. From a design standpoint, Porsche went with a four-door coupe and a hatchback design, so it really looks like an extended 911. You can see that most coupes in this segment, for example the Audi A7, have zero headroom in the back. There's no way I could ever fit back there. But Porsche's president who approved this vehicle was over 6'4", and he said we could build this car into one condition. I want to be able to sit in the back. So let's go test out that theory. As you can see, his theory was correct. There's a little cutout here to allow for that extra headroom. And I've never had this much headroom in the back seat of a sedan. So this is great position. Also, great vantage point. You can see everything that's going on. And this Panamera has by far the most attractive, the sexiest, the most technical center console of any vehicle I've ever seen. The Panamera is not only a high-performance sedan, it's also a very functional one. As you can see, because of the hatchback design, there's a ton of room here, certainly more room than you would get in a traditional sedan. Now, I would highly recommend taking full advantage of these tie-downs. So if you have anything back here, strap it down, get a cargo net, because if you drive this car the way I've been driving it, stuff is going to be flying around and you don't want that. The Panamera 4's rear spoiler can be activated either manually or automatically at higher speeds. Now this is a one-piece spoiler. When you get to the higher level like the Turbo, it actually has a two-piece that opens up and splits out. I want to show you what I dislike most about the Panamera. So first of all, because it's a four-door coupe, this B-pillar is very far forward. As you can see, most cars, the B-pillar is kind of lined up with the front seats. But in this particular vehicle, it's up about 6 or 8 inches. Now on top of that, Porsche has added this piece right here. It's kind of an extension of the left armrest or door rest over here. And as you can see, it's very loose here. A lot of drivers before me who have had this car, including me, just keep hitting it. So in order for me to actually get in this car, I kind of have to almost wrap myself around to make sure I don't hit it. But once I'm in here, it's all good. Just a quick note about the key. First of all, look how cool this thing is. It's actually shaped like a Panamera. And because it's a Porsche, the ignition goes on the left. The Panamera's cockpit is spectacular. That's the best way I can describe it. First of all, this center console just has so many high-tech buttons. I mean, everything you need is located in one cockpit area. It reminds me kind of an airplane. And then you have the dashboard. Every Porsche has a massive tachometer in the middle. You won't find the speedometer in the center like many cars. It's off to the left where it should be, because the most important thing is engine revs. Now, the transmission that's made it to every Porsche Panamera is a terrific one. It's Porsche's 7-speed PDK, which is a twin clutch system. And you have a few options which I want to point out. Sport and Sport Plus, and you have normal mode, which is what the default is. Now what's nice about Sport Plus, it actually takes 7th gear out of the equation, and it's all about higher revving shifts and quicker shifts. It really makes this car a performance car. It's what lets you get from 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds. So the Sport Plus mode is really designed for those twisty roads, or perhaps for track time, and believe me, we've had this car on the track. So I'm going to push it in. As you can see, it's just much more responsive. You really don't even need to use the paddle shifters. It just holds the revs much higher before shifting, and that's what you want. So imagine you're driving a manual transmission. You're going to be primarily in second and third gear if you're going on some really challenging roads, and that's what this does for you automatically. Now, pricing wise, the base Panamera, that's just the base two-wheel drive Panamera, starts around $75,000. A fully loaded Turbo S can really top $200,000, so there's a very large price range. I would think a typical Panamera, maybe an S, you're looking at about $110,000 to $130,000 depending on your options, and that's right in line with the competition. Bottom line is that if you're yearning for a Porsche 911 but you need room for 4, there is no substitute, and this Panamera will satisfy your every need.